Welcome back to our Leaders in Customer Loyalty series. Today's the Brand Story Edition. It's a Thursday, so thank you very much for taking the time to join us. Few industries are being tested right now, like financial services. In an uncertain economy, customer loyalty isn't optional, it's foundational. Banking customers expect more than competitive rates and seamless transactions. They expect their financial services provider to understand their entire relationship and deliver value that feels personal, relevant, and most importantly, earned. That's a high bar, and one that PNC is intentionally working to meet. In this conversation, we're joined by Victoria Dravneek. She's the head of loyalty strategy and platforms at PNC. She's going to explore how customer loyalty in banking is evolving, why partnerships are playing an increasingly important role, and what her team is most proud of as they continue to shape the future of customer loyalty at PNC. Victoria, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. How are you?
I'm great, Marks. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. For those who may not be familiar, can you give us a quick overview of PNC Bank, what you guys do, how you were started, and a little bit about your customer base?
Sure. So PNC Bank is a national bank that's headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We've been around for a very long time. We started back in 1865, and like many of the banks out there, we've grown and grown and acquired our way to becoming a national bank. We have about 15 million clients currently, mostly domestic, a little bit of international, and that would be, our consumer, business clients, and institutional. And I think an interesting thing about PNC is while it's a national bank, it really doesn't feel like a national bank. It really feels like it feels like Main Street. It feels more like a local bank. And I think part of that is really how PNC has grown up. And the brilliantly boring brand that was introduced a little over a year ago kind of exemplifies how PNC interacts with their clients, right? So their clients are just regular folks who are looking to do their business, grow their families, do everything that they need to do, and PNC is really a great partner in how they do that, and they really do it with a brand of hospitality that I haven't really seen anywhere else. PNC, they're very warm, and the hospitality is very real. You feel it when you walk into one of the branches. You walk in, they're glad you're there. They really seriously want to help you. They're genuine. They want to be your partner in your relationship. When you're done with your business, they walk you out. If it's raining, they open one of the umbrellas and they walk you to your car. You just don't see that in a lot of places.
Well, that's awesome. And having that small town feel, that local feel, is very important because as banks get bigger, the goal is to have that cheers feel, right? So that you walk in, they know you. There's some familiarity there, level of comfort. As banks get bigger, there's some disintermediation that happens. So it's great that you've been able to do that. How is that kind of an advantage for you? I would think it would be pretty significant. Just the emotional engagement it creates because
Yeah.
that customer, right? Because that's a big challenge for many brands these days.
It's really huge, and I'll kind of go back to when I first came to PNC about 2.5 years ago, and my goal was to bring loyalty to PNC. And so the first thing I really needed to do was get to know, like, who is PNC. So the first, like, 30 45 days, what I did was I sat down with over 100 leaders throughout the organization and really asked them questions around, like, who they were, like what they've been doing at PNC, how they thought about the customer relationship. And what I found actually kind of delighted me because in my mind, loyalty is all about the client feeling valued and seeing that tangible value. And from what I was learning, from these leaders at PNC, is most of them had 20, 30, 40 years of tenure, believe it or not. A lot of them did. And the making clients feel valued was part of their DNA. So I talked about how you see it in the branches, but you also see it, like, in corporate, talking to the leaders as they're leading the people to create the products and services and operations and everything. So it's through the whole company.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about your role at the bank? You mentioned you were brought on to head up a new rewards offering. Can you tell us what that means, your role, what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, yeah. So I am the leader of loyalty strategy and platforms. So my whole job is, deploying the strategy of loyalty at PNC, making our clients feel valued, allowing them to see that tangible value at scale. At scale is the big part, right? And that's where the platforms come in. So really, it is all about kind of looking horizontally across the board and saying, how can we make our clients feel valued? How can we show them that tangible value at scale? And so that's really been, my mission to bring that to PNC, really, and to build that capability set, within the people process and with the technology at PNC across the board.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. When you look at the opportunities you have, you talked about, kind of alignment when you came on, understanding what people know about the bank, what they know about customer loyalty, what their passions are. That's very important. When you look at holistically, what are some of the challenges or opportunities you see in your role, for the loyalty program and for PNC?
Oh, gosh, that's such a broad question. There's such a big story to tell. If I think about, just kind of some of the groundwork, some of the, opportunities and challenges, the biggest thing I saw when I walked through the door was the sponsorship to go after this. PNC already has the tenets of loyalty in their DNA. The leader of retail banking, Alex Overstrom, was the greatest advocate for loyalty that I have ever seen. He was the sponsor for the entire program. He helped remove obstacles. He got people on board. I've just never had such great sponsorship for a program. Some of the challenges that we had were, that organizational alignment, helping people to think more horizontally about strategy. They were in charge of certain silos and verticals, products, functions, et cetera, right? But really bringing it up a level so they could think really horizontal about the customer and how we would serve the customer across everything we had. Big challenge at first, but once they got it, my gosh, they were all on board. It was so great. I think the capability sets was another kind of, it's a challenge and opportunity every time you think about a loyalty program,
Yeah.
because just like the people have to be horizontal, the capability sets have to be horizontal too, right? And across all the channels. So we had certain capability sets that were, my gosh, they were like really up here, and then certain capability sets that were kind of down here, and certain capability sets that were missing entirely. And so we had to go through and go, okay, what are the most important things to do first, second, and third to begin to scale loyalty at PNC? And so when I think about what we built so far, I feel like it's the foundation. We've built a baseline for loyalty at PNC in the form of PNC Total Rewards, and we'll continue to build on that for years to come.
Okay. You talked about the alignment internally, very important. Many brands struggle with that, seeing the value of loyalty and making sure not only the loyalty program has value to the brand, but that it also has value to the customer. And based on what we've discussed over the last few months, you've done a great job of doing that. Even getting the training that you've done right within the organization, all hands-on training to really edify the customer, edify the kind of the CSR, should I say, as to the value of the program, what it means to customers. So when you look at this, the core strategy you've developed behind Total Rewards, how does that evolved? And because you're very focused on that total relationship with the customer.
Yeah. So there's a couple things here that I'll kind of talk about. One is our guiding principles. And so we set those out from the very beginning in partnership with our leadership teams in how we wanted to go after this. It helped guide our decisions in everything we did. So there were four guiding principles. One, we were going to be client centric. We weren't going to be product centric. For years in financial services, a loyalty program and a credit card. Credit cards are great, but there's a lot to a client relationship, and we wanted to be client centric, just like every other program out there that's outside of financial services. Also, we wanted to make sure we put the client first. We already had a client obsessed culture at PNC, but then every single decision we made as we built the program, we asked the question, is this the best thing for the client? And whatever the best thing was for the client, that's the thing we did. The second was we wanted to deliver one PNC. So we had various smaller kind of programs throughout the company. We shut all of those down. We wanted a single loyalty continuum. We didn't want to dilute the brand. We didn't want to confuse the customer. And we wanted something that was significantly operationally sound so we could deliver on our promises. Hugely, hugely important. We wanted to empower our employees. So you talked about all the training and everything that we did to ensure our employees were ready to have those conversations. Well, we also wanted our employees, who are our best advocates and clients for our brand, to be excited. So we gave them the gold tier without meeting the balance requirements of the program. And so they can come from a position of knowing and experiencing it themselves as they're talking to our clients. And then finally, we wanted to engage digitally. So clients want to feel valued. They want to see that tangible value. They want to see what's in it for them. So we knew we needed a digital experience that every client, whether you have $1 with us or $1 million with us, can go to that experience. You can see the total value of your relationship down to the transaction level, and you can learn immediately what you can do to get more value out of your relationship with PNC.
Okay. You mentioned operationalizing the customer loyalty program. That can be a big challenge. Many people come in with big dreams, expectations, right? They may work the consultant, and the consultant says you need to do X, Y, and Z, and then they leave it to you to run, right? But operationalizing, especially the last year or so, with some of the economic uncertainty, is very important. Can you do what you need to do? And also the whole idea of putting that customer first is very important as well. So, when you look at the operationalizing the program, what were some of the challenges that you saw there, and how did you do that so well?
Yeah, I think the biggest goal of, well, I'll start. We had to set up an entirely new line of business to support loyalty overall, right? And that's every tranche of loyalty, because you have to measure every tranche of loyalty and continually improve it. But zeroing in on operations. So we have our Total Rewards operations team, or TOPS, as we're calling them, and they are responsible for anything that goes bump in the night. So through this process, we set up a new case management system. So cases could come from the front to from the front client facing to our back office, and then we also set up the ability to track and resolve those cases. And then in addition, we've set up additional monitoring. And we don't monitor like samples. We monitor every single transaction to ensure that, if we're putting a client in a specific tier, that it's the right tier, that we have the right average eligible balance, we're checking it all the way through, that client is receiving every benefit they're eligible for. And if we have any discrepancy, it pops an alert to us. Our operations team is able to work to make sure that we are delivering on all of our promises. And this is in addition to all the additional kind of technological infrastructure and monitoring and everything there. And then in addition to that, we also have monitoring and similar controls and capabilities with our vendors that we partner with.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that the vendor partnerships that we've discussed as well are very unique to your offering too, right? So you thought outside the box there. You, again, were very focused on adding value to the customer, and you created some simplicity, but you also enabled some technology that's very unique, right? That others may not have. You kind of amalgamated different pieces into one offering, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think the huge challenge with something like that is, banking has largely become commoditized. All the products are out there. The capability sets that we're building around banking are becoming commoditized because there's a small handful of vendors and all the banks are using them. And
Yep.
so we're all going to end up with the same capability sets, right? And the same, operating accounts and products. But our competitive edge has to be something that's beyond that. Our competitive edge has to be, for us, I believe it is, this combination of the hospitality that PNC has and loyalty. I feel like it's very difficult to replicate, right? When you look at your competitive edge, you look at the things that are more difficult to replicate. The technology, people are going to catch up. The products, people are going to catch up. But But that combination of hospitality and loyalty, I think they're going to have a hard time with that.
Okay. When you talked about understanding the customer, a big piece of that is driving a deeper engagement set, right? Understanding what's important to them. That small town feel does a lot of that. How are you moving the program beyond just transactional attributes to build deeper long-term relationships with your customers?
Well, I'll say to build every aspect of this program, it was really important that we thought of the client and what they wanted and what they needed, right? So a lot of research went into this, but then a lot of testing with actual clients and prospects. We did numerous tests throughout the whole thing. And in fact, our market research team added it up. We talked to over 15,000 clients and prospects during the course of creating the program to make sure that we got all the pieces right. And I think, in terms of deepening the relationship with our clients, I think the program is set up so that it will naturally deepen the relationship with our clients, because it's in the branches in the care center, it's a tool for conversations with the clients, and digitally they can see the value exchange right away. But when we talk about that greater loyalty, that emotional loyalty, which is I think what you're trying to get at, I think there's a lot of additional things that we're doing that will begin to get at that. I think about things like we are offering priority and concierge servicing to our gold and platinum clients, which enable them to quickly get through to what they need directly, more in understanding their needs. We have our new Premier Client offering that helps them with their banking and investing needs in a team way. So as they get more complex financial needs, they can actually have a team of bankers there to help them, right? So they don't have to guess, or they don't have to go to multiple people. They have a team that's there to support them and help them. And then we're also looking at partnerships and experiences. We're looking at ways to provide our clients with things that might be banking adjacent that they need, to make it easier for them, more convenient for them, less cost intensive for them. And then also, that opportunity to have some experiences that maybe they can't get anywhere else. So we're still in early stages of that, but we know that's important to our clients, and so we're working through that.
You mentioned that you spoke with 15,000 clients, customers, to get feedback on what they want and what they'd like to see in a customer loyalty program. So that's very important, but it's also a significant undertaking. How are you able to use that data, leverage that data to personalize the program within the PNC Total Rewards program? You talked about some of the concierge services, but holistically, how did you tailor the program using all that rich feedback?
Sure. It was always all the way from the beginning. So in determining, we worked with our teams and with our product partners to determine what kind of benefits could we offer to clients, right? And so then we went and concept tested each one of those benefits to see what resonated with the customers the most. So for example, we have one benefit that's very unusual. We give cash back to our CHELAC and auto loan clients every quarter based on the principal of their loan. Nobody else really does this. So we came up with this idea in conjunction with, just a rate reduction or other things, right? And so then we put all of that in front of our clients, and our clients said, wow, I love cash back. More cash back, please. So we're like, okay, great. And then so we got set, in some of our benefits, and then we started putting them into the model of the program. So our program model is not, it's not rocket science, right? Everybody's seeing a tier-based loyalty program out there. We have silver, gold, and platinum. Fantastic. But we were looking at, okay, what makes sense within these tiers? And then what combination of things in these tiers would make our clients the most happy? So we went out there and we did that research. And that was, our model optimization research. And then we went through and we actually did research on servicing. And we said, okay, what is the most important thing to you in your servicing? What would you like to have? Is this more important than this? And this more important than this? And we kind of went through the whole thing. And that's how we, came up with our strategy for servicing. We went through research on naming. We went through research on positioning, all of our language. We have a full language guide because we wanted to make sure that even when we're talking to a client about the program, that it sounds exactly the same across all the channels and anywhere they interact with us, but that it actually makes sense to them. And it's the language that they understand that will give them the most value.
You talked about partnerships. You said you mentioned your early stage on that, but partnerships are something that's quite important to the members of Loyalty 360, to those who run customer loyalty programs in general. But getting them right, being able to integrate them, operationalize them can be a big challenge. So when you look at partnerships, you mentioned it's going to be something you're going to expand going forward. How do you make sure that the partnerships are aligned, they bring value, there's some reciprocity?
Yeah, so we're actually working on a partnerships and experiences center of excellence is what we're calling it. And just like we very methodically went about the creation of this program to make sure that it was the exact right thing for our clients, we want to methodically go about this too. So we've looked at, you look at current state. What do you have? And when I look at what we have, one of the models that we have that's a little different from most other companies of financial services is we have our regional presidents model. And so they are the presidents of that region. They are very involved in those communities. They have their own sponsorships and relationships across that region, right? We also have, there are multiple kind of pockets of partnership, throughout PNC for various services, et cetera. If you think about small business, et cetera. And we're like, okay, we love all of this. We love all of the, our institutional partners and all the companies that they have. I mean, we have a very rich institutional business. And we're like, okay, how do we maximize the value of all of this to provide something amazing for our clients? And so that's really the odyssey we're on. We're doing some proofs of concepts, some test and learn. We'll do those throughout this year. And then in the background, we're like, okay, well, what operationally is required to set something like this up? Like, is there a central group? How do we handle contracting? How do we make sure that what we're providing both to the client and to the partner is standardized? And it's something that the client can clearly understand, that the partner is on board with, that it benefits everyone. So we're working on all of those components in the background to make sure that we can set something up that's really profitable for everyone.
Okay, and how does the program work with those who may not be eligible for PNC Total Rewards to start? I mean, when you look at engaging those audiences, getting them through that life cycle, getting them engaged sometime, how are you using experience to bridge engagement with these customers?
Well, as I was saying before, whether you have $1 with us or $1 million with us, PNC has a lot to offer. So one of the things we did is we went through and we looked at everything PNC has to offer today, and we gathered all of that up. And part of the PNC Total Rewards experience, when you log into online and you log into mobile, you can click right in, you can see your rewards hub experience, and you see all the value of your relationship. Now, your value might not be huge at the moment. You might be earlier on in your financial relationship. But right after you see that big value, you're going to see all the ways that you can earn more value. How do you save more? How do you earn more? How do you do more to get more value? We're going to show you personally to you the specific things that you can do to get additional value out of your relationship with PNC. And as your relationship grows, those things are going to evolve. Those things are going to be different. And we're going more and more in that direction. You mentioned personalization. As we evolve, we're evolving more and more in that direction. So we have more and more to serve up to these audiences that is very specific to them. Now, you mentioned the qualification. So everyone receives PNC Total Rewards, but those who have 25,000 or more with us in balances in their deposit and investment accounts become eligible for our select tiers. So silver, gold, and platinum. We talked about a tier-based program. And the reason for that isn't rocket science. It's the value exchange. We have a greater opportunity for value exchange with our clients who do more business with us. And so our goal for our clients who do more business with us is to make it more exciting to do more business with us, right? So whether you qualify, out of the gate for silver, gold, or platinum, or you need to bring over an old 401k or something to qualify for one of our tiers, we want to make it worth your while.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's perfect. Again, understanding the customers, understanding what they're interested in, and being able to kind of engage them and grow them. It sounds like you've thought all that through, which is great to hear. When you look at success is very important in customer loyalty programs. What does the future roadmap look like for PNC, and will you measure the efficacy of the program to start?
Yeah, yeah. So success in any loyalty program is an increase in satisfaction, retention, and deepening. If you're doing it right, right? So
Yep.
we are really closely measuring, our NPS. I will say, I think I saw that our NPS is from JD Power is like #2 in the whole country right now. It's wild. It's very high, but we're going to keep tracking it, and we'll get it even higher because and then there's retention, right? So our client base, we have pretty good retention. We have opportunity to grow there. So our even 1 point of retention for a large financial institution like ours is hugely valuable. So we know this will help us with retention. Other programs in the industry have had much higher retention, and so we're looking forward to that. And then it's deepening, right? So when someone enrolls in one of our select tiers, we're going to make it even more exciting to do more with us. So we offer benefits on each of our products and services. We offer very robust benefits on our investments products and other products, very great benefits on those. And so we know that that's going to lead to that additional deepening that we're looking for. And then, that audience who doesn't qualify on day one, like a large percentage of them do have part of their relationship somewhere else where they could qualify. If I think about our roadmap moving forward, we're doing consumer now. We'll move into small business. As I mentioned, we're doing, our Center of Excellence for Partnerships and Experiences. We have a whole 5-year roadmap of activity where we're going to keep growing. We want to extend loyalty to every aspect of PNC.
That's awesome. And when you look at it, the passion you have, you sound like a proud parent or a proud pet owner. You're ebullient, right? You're just very joyous. So when you step back and look at it, what are you most proud of with regard to the program progression that you've made?
There's a lot of things. I was thinking about this morning, over 10,000 employees at PNC have had something to do with the development and bringing this program to market. Like a fifth of the company. It's probably more than that. I was thinking about it. It was just amazing. I can't do anything alone. It's the global we, and the global we has really stepped up, and I'm very proud of that. I'm also, very proud and excited about, just what we're seeing in the market. Like the stories we have from the market are so validating and satisfying. So one example, a recent example out in Milwaukee, was a lady came into the branch with her mom. She had kind of a service question. And so she sat down with one of our bankers and they had a conversation with her and they started to tell her about this great new program. Well, she ended up opening actually opening 2 credit cards with us. And then she scheduled an appointment to meet with an advisor so she could bring $25,000 over in investments so she could qualify for the gold tier program. Her mom, not to be outdone, just coming, for moral support with her, also opened a credit card and she made an appointment so she could bring over $500,000 so she could qualify for the platinum tier. And there's story after story after story after story of this happening. And when you see the language of the bankers and the advisors, they're so happy that it's not only that they're bringing all this business to PNC, but they're just so happy that they're able to help the clients and how excited they are and how excited the client is. So I'm really proud of that. And then I don't want to forget this one. One of the other things that we were able to do, and we had to get over some obstacles to do it, just from a technical perspective, we're offering our military members and their families the silver tier of the program without meeting the balance requirements, because we thought it was really, really important to do that. And when you look at what the silver tier has versus everything else that's available in the industry for military members, it is one of the most comprehensive, if not the most comprehensive, consumer program in financial services for military members.
That's awesome. That's great. when you look back and look forward, what's the next big thing for customer loyalty, customer experience for you and PNC?
Yeah, I mean, I think, some of the stuff we've already been talking about where, banking's been commoditized, everybody's becoming a bank, payments, the innovation there and AI. There's so much to say there, and the tools are all evolving. Like the job is the same, but the tools to do the job are evolving. I mean, I think it just gets even further and further into this place where we know our customer and are able to personally provide to meet their needs. And while a couple of years ago, personalization was like, the buzzword, I feel like we're going to a place where we're required to anticipate their needs, not just personally respond. We're really required to become more anticipatory of our clients' needs. We know all of our apps and everything are listening to us, and they're already doing that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying we should do that, but I am saying that, we have all this information about our clients' lives, and I think it's important that we're good stewards of it. And that we're also like really, there to meet their needs exactly when they need them.
That's awesome. And last question, a little bit self-serving. What can Loyalty 360 do to help you and your team in your customer loyalty journey?
I think it's been really great over the years to see a lot of Loyalty 360's great content. To go to the conferences, to really have that camaraderie. I think one of the things that's important to us, and I would imagine others out there, is we've had to build an entirely new line of business to support loyalty, right? And only a few of those people have ever done loyalty before. And so it's been really valuable for us with Loyalty 360 to expose them to Loyalty 360 to realize what an important vertical loyalty is, across every industry, right? As a business itself. So I think that's been hugely valuable. And then, as we look at the next big things, to really see those stories and understand how other people are doing things gives us great ideas.
That's awesome. Well, Victoria, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. I know you personally, and this is the first time we've done an interview, and it was amazing. You did a great job.
We did one years ago. We did.
We did. Okay, we did. Sorry, second one.
But
this one, this one was great. I mean, just how happy you are, the joy that you have for the program. Just it's rewarding to see, and it makes me feel great as well, just to see how happy you are and just how holistic you've designed the program, and just the great success you've seen. So, and thank you for sharing for everyone else, because that I think you can be a roadmap or a guidepost for those who may be struggling internally. You've done a great job.
Thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me on today.
Absolutely. Thank you everyone else for taking the time to join us today. Make sure you join us back every Thursday for a new edition of our Leaders and Customer Loyalty series. Until then, have a wonderful day, and make sure you subscribe and follow us on YouTube and across our social media channels. Thank you.